Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of U.S. Gov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire de Huberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity.
Welcome to episode 121, I think. Jake, what's going on?
Good morning. We're off to a great start. Happy Sunday, everybody. So this is the making of Turbo Pit Fighter. This is a post-apocalyptic comic book and podcast and Substack that's all in the works. And I do the pencils. Kurt does the inks live on camera as we talk about stuff, and we try to do two things at once, which is sometimes distracting. But we are coming to you this week after having achieved our 1,000th episode. 1,000th subscriber, not 1,000th episode. I think we'll be only great. We actually got our 1,000th subscriber on YouTube, so we are celebrating that, and we want to thank everybody for sticking with us. I just found this graphic that I was going to make and give to Kurt, but I guess there's no real surprise if I'm doing it live on cam. So
I won't look.
So yeah, Kurt, we have a kind of like a steady pace, and who are these people? So these are people that they either they're making comics and they like to listen to us talking while they're doing their own drawing, and maybe they look up every once in a while to see what we're drawing, or they're just fans that got into Turbo Pit Fighter. They want to see where the story goes, and they want to hear us banter. Do you have kind of like a profile on our user?
Yeah. What I'm guessing, because of the community tab as well, we have a poll that goes up every day. I get a little sneaky with the poll, and I'll ask very turbo-centric questions. And of course, one of the answers, because it's multiple choice, yes or no. We do have a majority of people who don't come to making Turbo Pit Fighter, these videos. It is more for our comics that influence and our indie creator exchange. But we do get, there was a video we did, it wasn't our Furiosa special review. It was something else, like a couple of videos later, where we really kind of round out about 50 to 75 views on our videos, but this one was like 157. And one of the tricky parts to getting people to come in and view is the title card, which is what I use as just the first frame. When we set up our screens, and then at the bottom it has Jake and Kurt, and then the Turbo logo. That title screen should really be something more facially graphic. That's what they say. The professionals and even YouTube. That's what really brings people in and kind of holds them, or gives them a greater sense of option of clicking view. The second thing is the title. The titles will always generate a higher view.
Yeah, that's why
they're possibility.
That's why they're all clickbait, right? Like tune in to see the
Exactly.
person who changed the
Exactly.
industry, or
Yeah.
find out who went from rags to ruins, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. And
Y-
we've already talked about that. We're not interested in doing that to people. So right now, we have a title structure, which is it says making turbo. I'll even read one here. So yeah, episode number 118, making turbo pit fighter comic slash, and then this one was character development from sketch to story. Actually, no, that wasn't that.
yeah.
Yeah, so I try to do. Oh yeah, here it is. This is a really good example, Jake. It was our comics that influence. I'm sorry, it wasn't our. Oh
Uh
no,
huh.
here it is. I'm sorry. Here we go. So episode 113, we got 116 views. It's called Making, it's episode 113, Making Turbo Pit Fighter Comics slash why you should make your own website.com. Because there was a big rant about from me, and then you supported that, and we also kind of talked about the positive sense of having your own website. So that seemed to grip people. But episodes right now, up to 80, 90 views. People triculate in. We still get some right over the 100 tops,
Yeah, I mean,
155.
I'm kind of surprised. I would be kind of surprised if somebody would tune in and actually listen to the whole thing end to end. I mean, we're documenting our making of our comic so that when people in the future have it in their hand and they want to see how we developed each page, and they might be a comic creator themselves and like to look behind the curtain and see the process, and people that are doing the dishes or exercising and they're bored. Cleaning is very like boring and laborious, so I usually try to have something in my headphones. And if you stumble upon this and you're interested, we really encourage people to do what we're doing. If you make comics, why not document the process, or at least some of the time, and or drawing live. I don't think there's enough of it. So, this has been a grand experiment, and we did reach 1,000 subscribers on our channel, and those are the things that we have to offer, like our flip throughs. They're probably a little more interesting, where you get to see comics, you don't have to buy them. We talk about the artist and the art and the story and the writing, and our creator interviews, which might be spilling out a little bit into our turbo episodes, because we are supposed to have a couple of guests start sitting in, so that maybe they can also add to the conversation while we're drawing. And that's one thing that we haven't done yet, but we're going to be adding that to our format too, so that could be interesting. Um, but yeah, we're good. This episode, I'm going to show Kurt what I've been sketching, and then I'm going to get right back into page 20 where I was finishing it up. I have this graphic which I'm going to send Kurt at the end, and then he can maybe dress it up and use this for some kind of promotional thing. But um, this
The
sketch, go,
Jake,
go, go. What? Yeah.
I'm gonna title this episode "What Do We Do for 1,000 plus subscribers as a special." So I'm gonna kind of actually, like we always do, put it back out to the people. So if there's something you want Jake and I to draw, is what I'm thinking, or talk about in our next episode, when you see this episode, put it in the comments. Help us even kind of boost ourselves. Now that we have a little badge of honor from YouTube, it's really key to keep engagement. But that's going both ways. I just have to thank everybody for being a part of our community
Uh-huh.
tab, which is the polls. Sometimes I don't make it multiple choice; it's a question, so people make very lengthy entries, which are also very informative. So I just want to thank them one more
Awesome.
time. But for this episode, if you've made it this far, which is over 9 minutes now into the episode, we want to know what you guys want from Jake and I. So and that's the special that we want to put out there for hitting 1,000 and making it a thank you.
Yeah, just don't request us drawing 1,000 horses coming over the mountain, please. That's
I'm not saying we're going to do it. I just want to hear what we're supposed to be
yeah.
doing.
So right, because I was just I was actually just hearing about that when I was watching. They were talking about Paul Gully. Oh, it was Saber. Up on my
Yeah.
YouTube feed comes this
Yeah.
these two guys I'd never heard before that talk about
Yep.
comics. They seem pretty well informed. I'm not sure if they're creators or whatever, but sorry, can't take that right now. You're podcasting, but yeah, there was Don McGregor and Paul Galici's Saber, and it was a long podcast. I think it was like 2 hours or something crazy like that. And they were going over, how cool, Saber was as a post-apocalyptic comic. Speaking of post-apocalyptic, and like how the character was fashioned after Jimi Hendrix, and um, then they start getting into Paul Gulacy, and they Google like right live on this on camera, and they were like, oh, Paul Gulacy was 25 years old when he did Saber, and Don McGregor was coming off of the Black Panther run for Marvel. It was, one of the first indie books that went straight to, comic stores, direct market, and and really was a trendsetter. But they were like how rich it was in terms of the writing, and that how Paul Gulacy was able to keep up with everything that Don McGregor was scripting, which was really really a lot. If you look through those Saber, first books, and they were talking about, yeah, Paul Gulacy's like the master of drawing horses, because horses are really hard, and he does it all the time. He did it in Master Kung Fu, he did it in Batman, he did it in all these, he did it in Saber, and you know drawing horses on in action, it's that's one of the toughest, most challenging things for a comic book artist. So
Jake.
um yeah, man.
So let me take 1 second because I want to do a shout out to that YouTube channel just that you
Yeah, what's it called?
just suggested. I don't want to misspeak, so give me a second. I'm on YouTube.
They sound good. I'm gonna check out some of their other stuff, but
I've been
they
subscribed
do
to
go
them.
very very long. They do go very long.
And deep. I mean, they are bringing it. It's deep.
Right, but it's one of those things where
What the?
it's also kind of conversational, as opposed to like a very like scripted show, because they're just like googling stuff live on the air, and they're fumbling around with pages and stuff like that. So it's a little organic. It's, maybe not as polished, but they had some interesting stuff to say. I mean, it was nice. It got a little repetitive after a while because they just kept flipping through the same book over and over. But one thing that they have that I think is kind of neat is that they have, when they're doing their flip through, they have close ups, so that you can really really see the panels, like one by one. You're not just looking at a page from above, and I don't know if that's like later editing, or if they have like some
Oh
kind
yeah,
of like split camera thing or something. But
but it's also on a roll. Um, I can't believe. I mean, it's Saber, Saber, right?
RE,
S
SABRE, Sabri,
Sabre, SRE.
SABRE. Saber,
Yeah.
which is the
Dude,
English
nothing's
spelling.
coming up. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Comics rot your brain. So I'm going to put a link in the description below. It's yeah, they don't even put it's the title of the video is called After Writing Panther, comma, this marvelous scribe co-created the first American graphic novel. So that's what they're using the platform of Saber
Right.
by McGregor and
They
Galassi.
argue that the Saber graphic novel was the first graphic novel, and they do
Yeah,
mention Will Eisner and all
yeah,
the because so many people are laying the claim to the first graphic novel, but um, they argue that this is the first graphic novel, and then they actually going over the floppies for Saber, which come a couple years later. But there was a 40-page graphic novel first,
yeah, yeah.
which was pretty intense. Yeah, I mean, we haven't done our big Paul Galassi show yet on comics that influence, but I have a stack of Paul Galassi stuff. I have all the Six from Sirius, and I have the Slash Maraud, and I have tons of Master Kung Fu, and then those guest appearances he did on for DC. He did Batman, he did the Huntress, he did a couple different things, but Paul Galassi is one of my favorites, and so that episode is coming one of these days of comics that influence. So yeah, the reason I got off track is because horses. We mentioned horses, but here I have a sketch I made, and I posted this on the brand new Twitter account. If anybody wants to go to Doom Mags on Twitter, that's our new account where I posted this. And as you can see, this is a sketch of a enhanced female with some notes. This is going to probably be Charvel. I don't know. It's going to be one of the enhanced um, super women or super soldier women that Elevena enhances, and but this one is going to get pulled and like plucked from the team to go train with Esoterra, who is Elevena's mother, and Esoterra is going to give her this uh, quantum sword or a quantum cleaver, which is not meant for like stabbing and thrusting. It's meant for cleaving reality into to break the quantum code in real time. And I write here, none
Well,
can fathom the possibility. She opened the portal to the Naniverse. So Esoterra, who's going to be older, is going to train one of Elevena's proteges, and this is going to be either Charvel, Shadow, Pitchblende, Quadra, or what's the new name for the other one? I just named the fifth one. I was gonna name her Brody. Oh, Zarina. I'm gonna name her Zarina Brody. So this is gonna be, so I just posted this on the new Doom Mag Substack if you want to see this high res. But that's a sketch that I've been working on. Let's check back in with Turbo because that's what this show is about. This was the page that I was working on, and this was the rough. Um, we spoke about this last week when Turbo is this is young Turbo, and she's busting in and shooting up the RM soldiers who invade the orphanage. This is what it looks like in roughs. Let's see if I can line this up, and this is what it looks like in my blue pencil. So this is going to be her shooting up the town, and she's going to be rescuing Sister Ray, who is the nun headmistress of the orphanage, who they're holding captive on the altar and trying to pump her for the location of the radioactive peas, which are somewhere nearby. They can read it on their monitors, but they can't find where they are. And I was just doing the tighter pencils here. They have a gun to her head. Turbo is going to lower the weapon, and then uh, she's gonna shoot the hand off the one guy, and then rescue Sister Ray. So that's the page that I'm gonna try to make some progress on here. But I have to show Kurt the sketches that I've been doing this week because I need to send them to him after we're done here. So, and I also have a question for us to answer, which we'll get into the of course end of the world timeline. Um, Nothing much new in this pad, but in this, oh yeah, this one I didn't add too much. So I'm gonna show this pad. Where is it? There we go. Oh. I did. So you remember that email that you sent me about the company man? So this is an early sketch I did of Pitch Blend rescuing Rania, but it's not going to look like this because Rania is going to be in a protective suit. And the big news, are you ready for a drum roll? Right, or you can add one later. But I finished the 6-page script for a potential artist. I finished it. I banged it out. Yes, and I have the whole process right here. This is 6 pages of thumbnails. Page 1, page 2.
Ooh.
Wait, let me show you here. Page 1,
Yeah.
page 2, page 3, page 4,
Oh boy.
page 5, page 6. And so this is just the rough thumbnail that I typed up and I scripted, and it has full everything: dialogue, panels, sound effects, and it's ready to go for a potential artist. And if you're listening to this and you're a great sci-fi artist, you want to get involved, hit us up. Do Mag's Twitter or just click the contact on our YouTube channel here. But this is called The Company Man, and this is a 6-page action sequence that is going to finish up our prose story. Kurt, I sent you the prose story. Then I'm going to send you the updated file that has the prose story along with the full script. And I think I think it came out pretty good. It's action packed, and this is going to be when the call comes in over the dispatch, where Hexter is calling for help because he needs to get extracted. He's a company man that collected a bunch of evidence, and he's turning whistleblower, and he wants to get his daughter saved so that she can get pulled out to the new green zone. And the reason why they're so invested in saving her is because she has the genetic markers of a good candidate for enhancement. So they're going to. So this moves really fast, but Pitch Blend is going to get the distress call. She's going to jump in her flying car. She's going to go out of the green zone to where they're hiding and pick them up. There's going to be drones that are going to be attacking her immediately, but she's got defense drones that are also helping her. So there's going to be like drone battles, like back and forth in every scene. But the bad drones are going to be like shooting her up full of quills, and every like panel and every page, she's going to get more and more quills in her. So I have like an idea of making this a little bit like Hard Boiled, where the characters just get more and more wrecked. But again, this is only 6 pages. The company man is going to have a face off with his boss, and the boss is going to be this enhanced guy that that's threatening him and trying to bribe him and all this stuff. And finally, there's a standoff. Pitch Blend is going to get really really attacked by all the drones, and then the F bots who are fighter bots, and then the humans are going to be coming like in a column of trucks, and she's just gonna like just dive right into the battle immediately, and just like she gets really really close to the border, everything and then her air support blows everything up to rescue her. So there's a kind of like a surprise ending. Should I say it now, or should I just let it go? Hold it on. Okay. So here is a kind of like cover or a pinup I made for the company man, Hector, the company man.
That's awesome. Oh
I
God,
showed you
that's
this,
awesome.
and then you emailed me this week, and you said, "Jake, this text calls for an illustration of a scene. Do I have that illustration?" And I didn't. So I made it, and so here's that illustration here that goes with that, or it's a sketch anyway, that goes with that scene. So I can send you this at the end of after we're done here.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, that's the main progress. This is a sketch I was going to do of Burnstone, who is the boss of the company man, who is enhanced. This is just a conceptual that I did a pitch blend when she's starting to get the quills, but of course she's not going to have the shield. Um, and this is where I'm starting to do the air car, because when I hand the script over to an artist, I am going to provide sketches for the air car. I have that thing I did for Hexter, a little sketch of Rania, and then here are going to be some conceptual sketches for the drones that are flying around in every panel. Except I think this one right here, I don't know if you can see it so well. I like the best. There's going to be the good drones and the bad drones, and the good drones are going to be the defense drones. And I think I like this. I think I like this design the best. This is going to be where there's four fans or propellers, and then there's going to be this kind of like a point to it where this kind of like head of it, has all the weapons. It can shoot, and it has the cameras and the sensors and all that up here in the head. But then these are fans in the back, and then this is just open because it's not actually connected. So conceivably, this drone could spread wider open like this if it had to. And there's also this one cool scene right here where right here in this page where the F-bot comes in and just shatters her air car because it's got these crescent-shaped knife wings, and she ejects at the last second. But then when she's just like skydiving in the air with Rania strapped to her back, she's gonna like shoot like a little lash onto a bunch of drones. I think I said it was like 5 or 6 drones that form a catamaran in the sky, and they just link together with wires, and she's able to like shoot a little wire that connects to that, and so that she doesn't fall to her death. And instead she uses the momentum to swing right into the teeth of the soldiers who are mounted on the armored vehicle. So this, like when I say this is action packed, the reason is because when you only have 6 pages and you're trying to tell a whole story, it just goes by so fast. There's only like 4 panels on a page on average, so you gotta really move the story along. And I think I did a good job with the script, like tying together the narration with the dialogue and the sound effects and the action. So if we do get somebody cool to do that, I think it's going to be an awesome uh, comic sequence. And we were talking about contacting some veteran artists to do that. Just rounding out the sketchbooks here. I don't think I have much else. This right here, I did previously. I don't think I showed you, but this is going to be a scene of where Elevena opens the gates to speaks to so this is when the cults are all joining forces. Elevena is going to before the mega apocalypse, Elevena is going to have mergers of all the cults, including the Tuesday cult, and that is going to be the big question of the day. So, Kurt and anybody listening, if you're part of our community, you are welcome, more than welcome, to chime in on this question. And here is going to be the prompt. So we all know that Tuesday, TWOSDAY, is going to be the day where the U.S. government falls in our story. And the reason why it's called Tuesday is because it is going to be February 22nd in the year 2020, 2222. And what I did was I wrote out right here. Now you got to tell me if you can see all this because it's a little light in pencil. Because
It's
I
tough.
was okay. Well, let me darken this so that we can see what we're talking about. So, Kurt, in the last couple years, we just passed by February 22nd, 2022. And that is a date that has 6 twos in it, right?
Hmm.
And we also passed by the date 12/22, December 22nd, 2022. And the world didn't end. We also have February 2nd, 2022. 2022. So this I looked up what happened because we know that in February 22nd, 2222, the US government's going to fall. And that date has 7 twos in it. It's a lot of twos. The only other date that's going to have 7 twos in it ever until 20,000 years later is going to be December 22nd, 2222. And that's the big question. That's going to have 7 twos in it. So the Tuesday cult is going to, it's going to be a big deal. Now, the Tuesday cult formed because it was predicted for decades leading up to Tuesday that the U.S. government was going to fall on that day. And of course, art follows life, or life follows art. So they made it so. The Dehubertans made it so. All the foreign enemies made it so. And because everybody was prepping for it, that made it so. But 10 months later, something's going to happen in December 22nd, 2222, because that also has 7 twos in it. And the question to you is what happens? It's not supposed to be bad. It's supposed to be resistance led, because the Tuesday cult by then is going to be wrapped up into Elevena's resistance force and her big union of all the cults. But there's also along the way February, so 2122, and that's going to be like 100 years before. So we're going to have something in our story that's going to be before we pick up the action, because we don't pick up the action in our end of the world timeline until about the 2180s. So in February 2nd, February 22nd, and December 2nd and December 22nd, you're going to have these Tuesdays, but they only have 6 twos in it. Following me so far?
Yep.
So a day that has 6 twos in it is a big day, and there's going to be these big resistance events. Like there might be massive vandalism and explosions and terrorist attacks of the Dehubertans, right? That's what I think that's going to be happening on these days. And there's going to be riots in the streets or protests or something like that. There's going to be big events. But there's 5 days in 2122 that have, there's 3 days that have 5 twos in it. There's 2 days that have 6 twos in it, I think, if I'm not forgetting any, right? And then it is until 2222 where you get 7 twos, and that is like the holiest of days for the Tuesday cult. Now, when I was and I'm wrapping this up. So the question is, what's going to happen 10 months after the fall of the U.S. government on February 22nd, 2222? It's going to be December 22nd, 2222, and that's going to be the last time in 20,000 years that there's 7 twos inside the date, which is going to be a holy day, and it's going to be, these people are programmed for generations and generations to worship, numerology and twos, and also interesting note, the Tuesday cult is going to be the main location for couples when the society breaks down, and the advent of the pleasure bot, makes it so that most guys are loners who have a artificial companion, and a lot of them are soldiers and mercenaries and freebooters and everything. And the Tuesday cult is when couples stay together. And I don't just say man and woman, I just say couples, right? So, and then, Elevena it's going to be a big day when Elevena gets the Tuesday cult on board. That's going to be really hard. In exchange, she's going to have to agree to enhance some of their major influencers as an exchange, and the cult is going to be kind of like a little terroristy and a little iffy, and a little fringy. So it's going to be, a tough decision. But here's the real funny thing. So I didn't look up December 22nd, 2022, which was about what, 2 years ago? Um, right? A year and a half, 2 years ago. I did look up February 2nd, 2022. And I just went on AI and I went on Google and I just like looked up. Guess what happened on February 2nd, 2022?
What?
That day had 5 twos in the date. So if there was a hypothetical Tuesday cult that was around right now, that would have been a very holy day. Because there's no such thing in real life, that day just came and went. But if you look back at the news reports, that was the day the U.S. debt hit $30 trillion.
Oh, wow.
So I am going to try to pull that in to the story, and I'm going to make like the U.S. debt, really, really, more and more and more, so that becomes a part of the story. Like inflation, monetary policy, and it just gets really bad. Um, I also looked up February 22nd, which was 20 days later, and guess what happened? And that was a day that had 6 twos in it, right? And there was only 2 days in 2022 that had 6 twos in it. That would have been February 22nd and December 22nd. 12/22/2022 and 2/22. So I haven't looked up 12/22/2022 yet, but guess what happened on February 22nd, 2022 in real life? That
What?
was the day that Putin moved troops to Ukraine,
The
and
border?
yes, and then only 2 days later the attack started. So that is pretty significant in real life, and so we can make these Tuesday days, you know, really big days of reckoning where there's a lot of planning and there's a lot of like, building up armaments and a lot of, execution that happens on those days. And then the Tuesday cult will be underway in 21/22. Um, I don't know if we want to try to retroactively make it so that the Tuesday cult, we can say the Tuesday cult started to form in 2022 and it was around for 200 years. But, obviously it got more and more steam as Tuesday approaches, which is February 22nd, 2222, all twos. And then that's a 7-2 date, a date that has 7 twos in it. That's only going to happen twice in 20,000 years. The next time is going to be the year 22,222. So That's what that so basically, like, my thinking is going towards the bullet point in the timeline where we start talking about these cults. And um just to jump back in, I'm just going to go back to regular drawing now, but just to jump back in to the remember the episode that we just taped about paranoia and drones and everything. My question,
Yes.
my lead in to this discussion is going to be um, about science again and changing technology. My paranoia this time is going to be, so I just saw this a couple things. I saw something on X, formerly Twitter. I'll never call it X. I'll always call it Twitter. But I saw a demonstration because I think Elon Musk is involved. But they implanted in somebody's head these like transistors or something, and they successfully demo. Oh, it was on 60 Minutes actually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I, yeah, they where a guy can move a cursor around a screen, and he can do just his regular computing business, and there's no mouse and there's no trackpad. It's the mouse is in his brain, right? So I forget what they call it, like cyber link or something like that, nerve link or something. And the guy is showing, yeah, look, I'm opening up my menu, I'm opening up my mail, and you can see what's on the guy's screen, and he's just demoing it. So that's real right now. Okay. And so it stands to reason, tell me if I'm wrong, it stands to reason that within, a couple of decades time, that is going to be common, and people will have the ability to look things up on the computer, anytime they want, and the computer will just tell you in your brain without any device. I mean, the device will be hardwired in. And so there will be computer assisted, brains. Am I you think, do you agree so far
So
on
once
that?
again, I need to correct your timing. I would put it in at under 5 years. We will have
A
cyborgs
commercially available, well,
at
we
hundred
already have,
percent,
we
hundred
already have
percent.
cyborgs. Cyborgs are like somebody with a hip replacement is a cyborg. I mean,
No, you
in te-
actually, it is. If you have a cell phone on you, the majority of your time, you're
yeah,
considered a cyborg because
right, right,
you
yeah,
implement and move from there. But just dealing with the science fiction pairing with reality, it's called Neuralink, and it's. I remember one
yeah,
of the first talks and presentation that Elon Musk did is he did it. The reason he started this is he's frustrated with processors. So he works on like 10 computers at a time, probably even has 10 employees, punching things in. But in his own personal, let's say, not even downtime, because I don't think there's ever downtime with him, but like that personal creativity where he's got to like meditate on solving this and improving this and so on and so forth. But he said, one, it came out of the sheer frustration that the computation from my brain to my hand to my mouse to my computer through the processor to get the information. You see what I mean? It all might
yeah,
take a millisecond. But he wants it instantaneous. Now, the back end of that, or no, the front end of that is people with neurological damage, can't walk, can't speak, can't have
yeah.
quadriplegic, so on and
The
so forth.
Stephen Hawking model.
And because I just saw another video where I believe it's the same Neuralink, but it's a gentleman that has not been able to talk. I think forever or something like that. No, they had actual recordings of him, so they used recordings of him that generate an AI version of his voice. Now he can think and talk like Stephen, not like Steve, but in the same kind of like computation. I think the thing people are not in a reality level understanding what's going on in behind the big purple curtain in the land of Oz are these corporations like OpenAI and Microsoft and Google and everything. They have already figured this shit out. Okay, it's just we're getting literally the tip of the iceberg. They're not giving this shit out for free. They're not putting this out as quote unquote science fiction. And I think the other problem is it will so disrupt the economies of the world. They have to put this stuff out very, 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 very slowly. But
Well,
5 years from now,
there's a big lag between concept and commercial product.
yeah, and we're just monkeys here, man. We're just monkeys. This is not for us. This is for the D. Huberton family type people, the one percenters. Because the thing about it is this: is there was another article that just came out and had a video form on YouTube for it. Is the thing they're going to roll all of this quote unquote generative AI business into is the medical field. And that's
Yeah,
why I say within 5 years. And I do pray
pills,
that
robot
there
pills, and
is
stuff.
there is a shift in the way we see health in the world. And because, we all know, and if you know it, you probably embrace it or you try to refuse its existence, is your health is based on basic things: food, stress, regular exercise, meditation, and letting things go and not obsessing over things and worrying. These are basic things you can do to stay highly, highly healthy. But unfortunately, things come into the world where issues, especially like a quadriplegic, comes into existence for somebody, and now what is that individual to do? I believe there's a kind of utopianism that could come through when anybody who has you know an impairment, even on a slighter magnitude, is going to be able to be, and I use this term only because it's the only one I can think of, fixed. But the whole thing will be is that you're hooked up to these companies to generate data. And I also think that that's going to be one of the things that, we'll be able to negotiate with when it gets down to it, is whether you hook yourself up as a quadriplegic to, you know, be healed, fixed, but at the same time, in return, you're giving them all the data of your life and existence. So I just really see things happening quicker than you are.
Oh,
But
that's a great point. It's you know, this computer assistance. So now it can become your voice, and it becomes
yeah,
your screen. You're able to do stuff, interact with the world, online and everything. But the company is between you at
yep,
every second and every millisecond, right? And they're and so they have a lot of not only monitoring but also influence, but like the choices you have.
monetizing.
And yeah, right. And I mean, you wonder how a quadriplegic, has, the money. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, in our story, rich people will end up extending life much longer than poor people, because of all of these, medical devices that can literally just keep you living an extra 50, 100 years, or, a couple of 100 years. Those are going to be the sentience that we have. But when you have, I mean, we're seeing this in real life now because there are people impaired, and they might be like, a test case for a study or something, and they get this for free. Or there might be a veteran, or a lot of people that have these disabilities are suing somebody, who, like, whatever, what made them like that, like, they're suing the
Yeah.
maker of thalidomide, or Roundup, Monsanto, whatever. So they might have some money, coming in because of that, and then there's also just disability, where they have a stream of money that comes in. But if you're talking about, very, very high tech stuff, what we've seen so far right now in 2024 is, we've seen these basically, like, charity cases. Some a tech billionaire is building something, and they're using, these quadriplegic or disabled people to, to be their guinea pigs and everything. And those people are happy to do it if it gives them a benefit, if it's safe. But when it comes to scaling up, right, that's when you're going to see a commercial product. And we're already seeing in our lifetime right now, Elon Musk and Bill Gates are, they're kind of like breaking away from the other normal multi-billionaires, right? Like, we have the Koch brothers, and we have Bloomberg, and we have, the DeVos family, and we have, Berkshire Hathaway, the guy, but Elon Musk is worth 200 billion, right? And I think Bill Gates, it got into that territory. Bezos is another one, Jeff Bezos, and they're much, much more, like, they're able to exponentially outpace all the other billionaires. And it's because they've cornered the market on something like the Windows operating system, or the Amazon retail platform that, that replaces all other stores in every city and town, literally, right? Or, Amazon also has the cloud platform, which is, I last I heard, I think it was like 40% of their business, was the cloud platform, AWS, they call it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So when these guys, once these guys get a killer app, let's say, or a technology that just becomes, the stand. I mean, that's also the story of Apple, where everybody has an iPhone, and everybody has AirPods, now, and millions and millions and millions of units sold, so that these companies become, worth trillions. Apple, I think, at one point became the most heavily capitalized company in existence. This was a couple of years ago. Um, so that's what you're talking about. Once you start saying, "Hey, let's get a brain implant in my kid as soon as he's born," and he'll just grow up like that and become symbiotically connected to all of the information and knowledge of human history that's on the internet,
But
and
I'll tell you this.
they will be an enhanced, they will
I
it will
will.
be
I
an enhanced.
will. I will say this. Um, we are over the 45-minute mark. We like to keep ourselves bite-sized, but all that you have mentioned, Jake, is happening right now. You have to
Yeah.
stop thinking. You have to stop. I'm not saying you, I'm just saying people in general. We always think of ourselves and the things that are most close and relative to our existence as being reality. But the thing is like, I mean, there's stuff I've read about China point blank that I think would just, it makes a way better science fiction story than than anything
Hey,
going on in America. Than
watch it.
anything going on in America. I'm not talking. I'm just saying, like, we're
Except for
just
Turbo
not.
Piffy.
We're only privy to what the, let's say, the United States of America in media, mass media, allows us to see, and the way they want us to digest it. And if you really want to get deep into, and I know Jake does this because we talk about that this all the time off the air as well, is you've got to find the people that are either writing the papers on this stuff, or they're reviewing the papers and they're basically breaking it down for a numbnut like me to have a basic sense of comprehension. And I follow like three or four people, some of them on YouTube, where they'll say this paper's come out on Neuralink, and yes, you've seen this video, but what it really means is this, and this is already going on, but directionally you
Yeah.
have to be aware of where it's coming into.
Right.
So,
Well,
but
there's the futurists, right? And there's like TED Talks, and the futurist guy, has a TED Talk, and they talk about the singularity, right? So
right,
those
right,
right, and so those are concepts of, when, a critical mass will occur. I forget what the singularity is, but I think part of it is like what, the first person to live to 150 years old, and and all this other stuff, because you will have, disease fighting robots in your bloodstream that you put in there by swallowing a pill, and they're talking about all this stuff
yeah.
is happening now in the just early stages, but
Well,
but scaling is the big thing, like when
but
when it's commercially available.
I've been listening to you for like 30 minutes as well as anybody else that's made it this far. And it's all such good stuff. And obviously, it's such, good stuff to investigate in a sci-fi story. But you know what kept coming up in my mind, Jake, when you were, moving, especially through the Tuesday event type of cult, the doomsday cult or whatever it is. It's like, I think one of the things we all suffer from is the too much information and the ability to process. So the thing I've been thinking about pretty much the last 30 minutes is just how little information has been out there, in the 70s and the 80s, because there's only newspapers and 45 minutes of news in the evening or something like that. So when you are going to make a post-apocalyptic movie, hence Mad Max once again. The big thing in the mid to late 70s was the oil crisis and gasoline, and the opening credit, which is an explanation in all Mad Max movies, is the same 1 minute explanation, which is
Yeah,
something happened in society, it has collapsed upon itself, and it has something to do with this thing in society right now, mid 70s to late 70s, which has everybody scared to death. The shortage of fuel, gasoline being
yeah,
that. So, when we're dealing with these massive amounts of technological advancement in information and trying to create an incorporativeness to a post-apocalyptic sci-fi thriller, like action thriller, like we're working on with Turbo Pit Fighter. We're far more challenged than those guys were in the late 70s.
yeah. Well, that's what. Yeah, that's what I try to do. Yeah, that's like everything all the time. I call, the life in the fast lane, I
Mm-hmm,
call it. But
mm-hmm.
because I am trying to think about all that, and that's why I
No,
have
you do. You
multiple
do.
facets. The future of
Right.
food, the future of medicine, the future of military, the future of human relationships. The advent of the pleasure bot, the fighter bots. And there's also something that's creeping up in science called artificial life, AL, right? There's artificial intelligence, but there's also artificial life that they're working
Yep.
on now too, which is
Yep.
like the ability to put cells together in a petri dish and have
Yep.
them do things. So really exciting times. If anybody's listening to this and you have some sci-fi movies or books or things that are exploring
Oh
these
yeah,
things already,
please.
yeah, hit
Yeah.
us up and let us know. But this is what we're trying to think about, and I think that it's really going to be interesting, because science fiction, it falls so short, because something like Mad Max, they only say about while there's a shortage of gasoline, everyone's fighting over the gasoline. Well, that wouldn't be true. They would be fighting over weapons. They would be fighting over everything. I mean, they would be fighting over women. They'd be fighting over medicine. Um, so that that's the difference here. We're trying to think a little bit more realistically about like everything all the time. And when when we think about the fact that there are going to be computer assisted brains, and there's also going to be computer assisted humans, right? With that have a chip in your brain from an early age. How is that going to affect our story? Um, then there's also going to be, I mean, what we're talking about is not artificial intelligence. It's really regular intelligence that's boosted with computerized processing capability. And there might have to be an external computer, but
I think the
quantum
biggest
computers coming in too.
yeah, well, the biggest exciting, like for science fiction point of is we're going to be heading into a cybernetic world, a cyberpunk. I think it's just going to have a whole new meaning and layer to it. And the post-apocalyptic thing and like cyberpunk are so close together, because when you're talking about Blade Runner, for instance, what you're talking about is a collapse of the society at a point where it used to be functioning this way, but because of the super advanced technology, Blade Runner being about androids, you're dealing with real minutia in comprehending how we should deal with it. How should you? This is what I think about a lot. If you meet somebody and you get a kind of internalized feeling about the person that you can't quite place, because we all read each other when we first meet and stuff. And then the person shares with you that they have a Neuralink, a cyber connection to a satellite that goes to a mega computer. What really is going to be your reaction to that human? What really is going to be your reaction to it? Because I kind of play it out initially, it'll freak me out the first time, because this person
Well,
has
you're gonna
access to all the information. So if you ever thought you were stupid when you met somebody who knew something a little bit more than you, you're gonna be
yeah, but we
whistling
have access
Dixie.
to you and I have the access to all the information right now. We just have to key it in. That's all. So and
Everybody does, but nobody does it. Nobody does it. It's nobody uses their phones. Nobody uses their cell phones for information. It's all
I know,
entertainment. If
I know. That's why
it's
that's
proven.
half of
It's
the stuff
proven.
I'm
Google it on what
Google.
there's all this fucking data out there that shows that it's like 1.7% of the human race actually uses the phone to advance data upon making decisions. The rest of it is just Netflix and Candy Crush and, oh, I got to get a booty call in tonight, or let's see, you know what I mean? Like, it's all it is the saddest thing when you really boil us down. Hence,
Right,
we're just a bunch of monkeys.
right. Well, that's why the pleasure bots are going to have all this built in too. But
It's
if it's
easy. That's
already in
easy. That's an
if it's
easy
already
one.
in your brain, yeah. But there's gonna be a big difference in class. Like, I don't see the poor people having a Neuralink type thing in their brain. I don't see how they're going to get there. I mean,
I
it's
disagree.
not just a one time fee. It's and
Extremely
then
disagree. Oh, it has nothing to do with fee. It has to do with slavery. And
right. Well,
slavery through data. Data
right. Well,
is
that's
more valuable than gold right now, Jake. More valuable than gold.
right. But it's not that they want to get the data. It's just that they want to live their lives and survive. See
Dude,
that
how do
this
you
is
think
this
any of all this stuff works? All of this stuff can only work on data. It can't invent data. If it does, that's why it hallucinates. That's why all this AI stuff that we watch hallucinates, is because it has to fill a gap. So when it fills the gap, it fills it with its own replication of some kind of data, but it's all too weak to actually substantially sit on.
right. So this is going to be why the cults rise up, because each different
Ah,
cult is going to have their own technology, and they're going to be communal in the sharing of their internet, let's say, they'll have their own, separate access to the internet and their own filters and funnels. And in order, to be in the cult, in order to get the technology, you join the cult, and then that becomes generational. Where your family joined the cult, like your grandfather or your great grandfather joined the cult, and now you're just born into it. And so the cults are going to be big, and the cults are going to also be important for keeping the birth rate going, so that there are humans by the time we get to 2222.
Right.
But
All right. Look, we got to
because
pack this in. It's over an hour.
oh,
Pack it in.
all right, so
Pack it in.
really, really fascinating conversation.
Always, Jake. Always. On a
Uh,
Sunday.
yeah, so I'm thinking a little bit now. I'm gonna move. That's gonna be the next bullet point I'm gonna move to. Is going to be
Okay.
the rise of the cult, and I'm
Oh,
trying to
cool.
think about who the characters are going to be and what the story is going to be. And if we use this format of having a bunch of text in prose format, and then maybe like a 6-pager, of action-packed comics, I think that's going to be a great format to just keep building on.
All right. Well, yeah, I just want to put out there that we do the Indie Comic Exchange, Indie Creator Comic Exchange. We did a three men in a comic with Dan Snook, that video is actually in our playlist for Three Men in a Comic. It's actually hosted on Dan's Rave Sensation site, but we're actually going to be sitting down with the man Alex Turbin next Sunday, which is going to be really exciting, and he's very excited to be able to hang out. And then that following Sunday, we're going to be sitting down with Chris Anderson and talking with him, who's a very deep, I would call him, into indie comics, and I think is going to be able to kind of give us even another layer of answers to questions that Jake and I have, for what we should be anticipating when we do launch um, uh, the first issue of Turbo Pit Fighter. But other than that, man, yeah, what a great episode again. I also just want to start saying, to really help us out, it's not about the growth, it's about getting the information to you. But subscribing helps both of us, as well as the notification button, because then that stuff comes to you, in your feed first when you're going to your entertainment on your phone or just YouTube in general. So but with that being said, we've reached over 1,000. I'm starting to just take a nice big deep breath and a sigh of, wow, we did it. It took us less than 2.5 years to do it. I'm going to throw the next time we get together, I'm going to start off with the graphic on how slow it took us to build this. But
That's all right.
it's a labor of love. It's a labor
I'm
of love,
surprised. I'm
hands down,
surprised.
100%.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we got here as fast as we did. But yep, that's it, folks. So tune in and binge the next episode if you're watching this in the future. I'm on page 20. What page are you on over there, inking on issue number 1?
25 of 28. So
Right.
I have the next 3 pages all printed and ready to go. So I'm really in a 80% getting all the ink and line down, so I can get that next 6 pages completed for our next Turbo Teaser event. So
Right. Yeah. So Turbo. Yep. Young Turbo is growing up, and older Turbo is going to be moving on. So we're doing it. All right, guys. Everybody. See you next time.
see you next Sunday, Jake.